So, this is a product that's just approaching its first full year of approval and being available on the market. So, with everything, there's always an expected ramp up. But I think coverage has been really good. Initially, it was always available through a program called BlinkRx, which is a mail order pharmacy, but it's increasingly over the past couple of months been available in more and more pharmacies, and they're building out that portfolio when I talk to their markets team. In terms of cost or whatnot, you know, this is always dependent on what your plan is, and that's not exactly a straightforward question, but they do have a couple of things. So out of pocket max, if you were just going to pay cash for this, it's about $200, which is very competitive. Some insurance prices you might be paying that. And then in terms of depending on your insurance, there is copay reduction that could be as low as $25, again, depending on your plan, depending on your area. Um, we have not clinically heard of too many rejections. We've had to put through some prior authorizations, but that's sort of par for the course in terms of a new drug, and each quarter that gets better and better. But I think it's out there for patients who would like to try it by prescription, and I think it's not at a barrier level that we haven't seen with other drugs, new or old. Epinephrine is one of those things where sometimes payers make it quite difficult to get access to it, for affordable prices or whatnot. So, this is something as a practicing allergist that we're always used to. The most current data that I'm aware of, so there have been about 4,000 prescribers who have written for neffy to somewhere around 25,000 patients. So that's pretty good. Again, this is a drug that has seasonal type of prescribing at times. The heavy season for prescribing tends to be now over the summer, usually after June 1st, in preparation for schools and states. Most schools won't accept anything sort of not dated after June 1st in terms of action plans or whatnot. So that's when we tend to see the patients. Um, but it's been a slow run up, and I believe they're having a good summer. It's hard to say; those market figures won't be out for a while. In terms of adoption, they've been running something called the neffy user experience that I'm aware of, which is basically they have given samples to practices to use in terms of, if a patient's having anaphylaxis from an allergy shot or a food challenge or something like that, and they're giving patients and the prescribers the option to use neffy in that clinical setting. Data on this were presented at the Eastern Allergy Conference in early June. The feedback has been very positive so far in terms of patients who were surprised at how rapidly it worked, which really shouldn't be a surprise. Epinephrine is a rapidly acting drug, but I think with the new device, they were wow, and some of the observers were very surprised to see how fast it really works. Patients responding within 90 seconds, which is fantastic. And the patients had asked for a prescription for neffy leaving the office after using it. So that's pretty good. It's a small sample size. There'll be more data that get presented and put out on that over the years. They do more offices with this program, but the user experience has generally been pretty positive. Honestly, it's a prescription that we as an allergist hope that they never have to use. It's something more that they carry with them. If it goes wrong, it's there, but if it's managed correctly, our patients don't have to use it. So there may be a lot of patients who have any form of epinephrine that just doesn't get used, and that means that they're managing their exposures correctly in the community. In terms of how it's changed preparedness, we have a product that is aligning now more with what the patient's preferences are. There are a number of very ominous statistics out there that show that patients really would prefer not to use a needle device. They will carry it, but often they won't use it when they need to because they have needle phobia. Parents are often afraid to administer to their child, and if the parents of the child are afraid. What do you think that bodes for, school administrators or whatnot, where it's actually not a family member and there's less familiarity. So needle phobia is a big thing, and that's why neffy and the other drugs that are in the developmental pipeline that are needle free are being developed to help address that. It's a little too soon to tell sort of some of the use patterns, but there's a general thought that if you take away the inertia from injection, that patients will start to use this earlier in the cascade when they start to see the emergence of maybe the first severe symptom, as opposed to waiting for three or four of them to arrive and delay, past 9 to 15 minutes or whatnot, just sort of going through the mental motions of do I use this? Is it severe enough or whatnot? So that those are data that we hope to see over the next year in terms of more feedback. In terms of its portability, that's another thing that will come out in the next year. I mean, this is a very, very small device. It fits literally in the palm of your hand, the individual device. As the twin pack, it's maybe a little bit bigger than the palm of your hand. It's robust to temperature in terms of it can tolerate heat excursions up to like 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's also robust to the cold as well. So it's good in terms of like an active child or an active adult with an allergic condition that needs to carry epinephrine with them. It doesn't have a window on it. It's protected. Like the other forms of epinephrine tend to have a clear window where the epinephrine is actually technically degradable to light or whatnot with exposure. So I mean, this is a pretty durable product.